Naya Kori had spent the last 6 weeks learning how to be a mother. She had learned that babies could sleep peacefully for 3
it's
hours
okay.
and then decide,
Here's your
without
milk now,
warning,
sweetie.
that midnight was the perfect time to discuss their feelings. She had learned how to warm milk while half asleep. She had learned that one tiny sneeze could make her heart stop. And she had learned that sometimes,
it's
when the
okay.
whole world felt too heavy,
Here's your milk
simply
now.
holding her daughter against her chest made everything quiet. She had not learned how to forgive the baby's father. That lesson had never been part of the plan. It was nearly 11 at night when someone knocked violently on the door of her little rented house in Seoul. Naya froze. Mira stirred against her shoulder. "It's okay," she whispered. "Mommy's here." Another knock. Harder. Naya frowned. Nobody visited her this late. She carried Mira toward the door. "Who is it?" A man's voice came from the other side. "Naya." Her heart stopped. She knew that voice. She had once fallen asleep listening to it. Once smiled because of it. Once believed it would be the safest voice in the world. Now it made her stomach tighten. Joon Ryu, her ex-husband. The man she had not seen in almost 11 months. The man who had divorced her when she was unknowingly carrying his child. The man who had never once asked her to stay. Naya stared at the door, then at her daughter. "Oh, this is not happening." Mira opened her eyes. Naya sighed. "And you don't even know your father is outside." The knocking came again. "Naya, open the door." She swallowed, then unlocked it. The door opened. Joon stood outside in a black coat, rain running down his hair and across his face. He looked angry, but the anger disappeared instantly. Because he saw the baby, he didn't move. Naya held Mira tighter. Joon stared at the tiny girl wrapped in a cream blanket. His lips parted. His face went completely still. Naya had never seen him look frightened before. Not during business negotiations. Not when angry shareholders challenged him. Not even when his father had threatened to remove him from the company. But now, he looked terrified. "Who is she?" he whispered. Naya stared at him. "You know who she is." Joon's eyes moved from the baby to Naya. "Is she?" His voice failed. Naya's jaw tightened. "Say it," he swallowed. "Is she my daughter?" Naya's eyes filled with tears. "She's your daughter." Joon took one step forward. Naya immediately stepped back. He stopped. That one movement said more than words could. "You don't get to come into my house like that," she said. "Naya." "No." Her voice trembled. But she didn't move. "You've already done enough." Joon looked at Mira again. "How old is she?" 6 weeks. His face changed. 6 weeks. He looked at Naya. 6 weeks. Yes. He did the calculation. His eyes closed. "When?" "She was born 6 weeks ago." "No." His voice was barely audible. "No, I mean, when did you find out?" Naya laughed bitterly. 3 days after we signed the divorce papers." Joon looked like someone had punched him. "You were pregnant when we divorced? I didn't know. And you didn't tell me." Naya's expression hardened. "You want to know why?" He nodded slowly. "Because I remembered the last time I needed you." Silence. "I stood in your father's office," she continued, "and I told you those photographs were fake." Joon lowered his eyes. "I looked at you." Her voice cracked. "I begged you to believe me." He said nothing, and you couldn't even say one word. "Naya." "So when I found out I was pregnant 3 days later, I asked myself one question." She looked directly into his eyes. "Would I want my child growing up believing that love means begging someone to defend you?" Joon couldn't answer. "Exactly." She started closing the door. He stopped her with his voice. "I was wrong." Naya's hand remained on the door. "I know. I was afraid. I know. I've spent almost 11 months knowing I was wrong." She looked at him. "Good." Joon stared at her. She wiped away a tear. "Because I spent 11 months learning how to live without you." The door closed. Joon stood outside in the rain. For the first time in his life, money could not fix what he had broken. And the worst part? He had never even known his daughter existed. If you're already hooked on Naya and Joon's story, subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this one. You won't want to miss what happens when Joon tries to become part of his daughter's life, and whether Naya will ever forgive him. Naya Kori had never imagined Seoul would become part of her life. She was 27, living in Accra, helping her grandmother run the family's cocoa business. She wanted one thing, a small bakery, nothing extravagant, just a warm little place where people could smell chocolate before they opened the door. Then her father came home one evening with bad news. A shipping dispute had left their company, owing Ryu Hospitality a huge amount of money. If the debt wasn't restructured, hundreds of farmers and workers would lose their contracts. Naya refused to let that happen. "I'll go to Seoul." Her grandmother stared at her. "You?" "Yes. You don't even speak Korean properly. I speak English. They speak Korean. I'll learn." Her grandmother sighed. "You always think confidence can solve everything. It has worked so far. Your confidence once made you try to repair a blender with a butter knife. It worked. It exploded." Naya smiled. Minor detail. 3 weeks later, she arrived in Seoul, and 2 hours after arriving, she met Joon Ryu. He was the heir to Ryu Hospitality. He was also the most intimidating man Naya had ever met. He sat behind a long conference table, wearing a dark suit. Naya sat opposite him. "I'm Naya Kori." "I know." She frowned. "That's slightly unsettling." Joon looked at her. "I read the file." "Oh." She opened her folder. "Then you know why I'm here. To save your family's company." "Correct. At considerable cost to mine. Actually, I have a proposal." His eyebrow lifted. "Go ahead." She spent nearly 20 minutes explaining her restructuring plan. Joon listened without interrupting. When she finished, he closed the file. "Your numbers are good." Naya smiled. "Thank you, but my father won't accept them." "Why?" "Because he has another proposal." She waited. Joon's expression became uncomfortable. "My father wants us to marry." Naya stared, then blinked, then stared again. "Sorry?" "He believes it will solve the business problem." Naya slowly closed her folder. "Your family needs therapy." For the first time, Joon almost smiled. "I've told him that." "And?" He didn't listen. "Of course he didn't." She stood. "Well, thank you for wasting my time." Joon looked at her. "You're leaving?" "Yes. You came here to save your family." "I did. And you're walking away." "I'm not marrying a stranger." Joon was quiet. Then he said, "What if the marriage has conditions?" Naya stopped. "What kind?" 2 years. She turned. "Go on. Separate rooms." "Fine. Your career remains yours." "Good. No physical expectations." Naya nodded. "Good. No interference in each other's personal lives." "Fine." Joon paused. "And if either person wants out, we discuss it privately." Naya studied him. "One more condition." "What?" "If either of us falls in love, the contract ends." Joon looked at her. "Why?" "Because love isn't a business arrangement." He was silent. Then he nodded. "Agreed." Neither of them understood how important that sentence would become. Their wedding was small. No extravagant celebration. No romantic speeches. Just paperwork and 2 witnesses. Afterward, they sat in the back of the car. Naya stared outside. Joon looked straight ahead. Finally, he said, "You can have the east side of the penthouse." "Thank you. I won't enter your room without knocking." "Thank you. You can work wherever you want." "Thank you." Joon looked at her. "You say thank you a lot. You give me reasons." He almost smiled. Then Naya asked, "Do you snore?" "No." "How do you know?" "I don't." "Then you might." Joon stared at her. Naya smiled. "For the record, I do." He actually laughed. Naya looked at him. She hadn't expected that. Neither had he. And something small changed between them that night. Their marriage slowly became comfortable. Not romantic. Not yet. Just comfortable. Naya discovered Joon skipped breakfast, so she started leaving food for him. Joon discovered Naya hated cold rooms, so he adjusted the heating before she came home. Naya discovered he couldn't cook. Not badly, not average. He was genuinely dangerous in a kitchen. You own 14 restaurants. Yes. And you can't cook rice. I've never needed to. That's embarrassing. He looked at her. I'm a businessman. You're a helpless businessman. One evening, she taught him how to cook jollof rice. Joon stared at the pot. It looks complicated. It's rice. There are too many ingredients. That's because you can't survive on instant noodles. I've survived. That's not the same as living. He looked at her, then smiled, and Naya's heart skipped. She looked away quickly. That was the first time she realized she might be in trouble. Months passed. Their relationship changed without either of them announcing it. They started eating together, talking, laughing. Naya learned that Joon hated thunderstorms because they reminded him of his mother's death. Joon learned that Naya became quiet when she was homesick, so he began ordering ingredients from Ghana. One morning, Naya walked into the kitchen and found Ghanaian tea beside her favorite mug. She stared at it. Joon? He looked up from his phone. Yes? Where did you get this? Your grandmother told me. Naya smiled. You called my grandmother? She called me. Why? She wanted to know if you're eating properly. Naya laughed. She interrogated you, didn't she? For 40 minutes. Welcome to the family. Joon smiled. I think I survived. Their first real date happened accidentally. They went to Busan for business. Naya convinced Joon to walk along the beach. They bought ice cream. They laughed. They talked about their childhoods. At sunset, Naya rested her head on his shoulder. Neither moved. Joon looked down. Naya, if this marriage weren't an arrangement. She lifted her head. What? He hesitated. Nothing. She smiled. But both of them knew something had almost been said, and from that night onward, their marriage was no longer just an arrangement. They were falling in love, quietly, carefully, without admitting it. Sena Park had wanted Joon for years. She had expected their families to arrange their marriage. Then Naya arrived. Sena noticed how Joon looked at her. That was enough. She didn't attack Naya openly. She created suspicion. Photographs were taken. Naya speaking to an old family friend, laughing, hugging him, nothing romantic. But the pictures were edited to suggest something else. Joon received them anonymously. At first he ignored them. Then more arrived. His father saw them. The chairman demanded an explanation. Naya tried to explain, but Joon was afraid. His mother's death had left him terrified of public scandal. He looked at the photographs, then at Naya, and for one terrible moment, he chose fear over trust. He said nothing. Naya's heart broke. She looked at him. Joon. He couldn't meet her eyes. She nodded. That's all I needed to know. She left. The divorce was finalized a week later. And 3 days afterward, Naya discovered she was pregnant. The pregnancy was difficult emotionally, but Naya refused to let it define her. She returned to the small house she had rented. She continued working. She built her dessert business, and every week, she felt the baby move a little more. There were nights she cried. There were mornings she felt strong. There were moments when she almost called Joon, but every time, she remembered his silence. So she didn't. For 9 months, she carried his child. For 9 months, he knew nothing. On a rainy Tuesday morning, Mira was born. Naya held her daughter for the first time and cried. Hello, little girl. Mira opened her tiny eyes. Naya smiled. You have your father's eyes. She laughed softly through her tears. Unfortunately, Joon spent months after the divorce becoming someone his own staff barely recognized. He worked too much. He slept too little. And eventually, his assistant Day found something strange in the photographs. They had been manipulated. The metadata didn't match. The shadows didn't match. The payment trail led to Sena. Joon confronted her. She confessed. You didn't trust Naya, Sena said. Joon stared at her. You destroyed my marriage. No, she smiled bitterly. You destroyed it yourself. That sentence broke him, because it was true. He had been given the chance to believe Naya. He hadn't taken it. Day then told him something else. Naya had a baby. Joon froze. What? She's 6 weeks old. Joon couldn't breathe. When was she born? 6 weeks ago. He did the calculation. He realized Naya had been pregnant when they divorced. He realized he had missed every doctor's appointment, every scan, every kick, every night she was afraid. He had missed the birth. He had missed the first 6 weeks of his daughter's life. He drove to her house immediately. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching this story from? And if you love emotional stories with unexpected twists, subscribe for more stories like this one. Naya didn't forgive him that night. She didn't forgive him the next morning either. Joon came back the next day. She opened the door only halfway. What do you want? I brought diapers. She stared at him, then at the bag. You brought diapers. I didn't know what size. Naya sighed. What size did you buy? He looked embarrassed. All of them. She stared at him. You bought every size? I panicked. For the first time, Naya almost smiled. Almost. Put them there. Joon nodded. He left. The next day, he returned. He didn't ask to come inside. He simply left groceries. The day after that, he brought medicine because Naya had mentioned that Mira was having trouble sleeping. He began showing up, not with expensive gifts, not with promises, with consistency. He learned how to change diapers. He learned how to warm bottles. He learned how to hold Mira correctly. And slowly, Naya watched him become a father. But she didn't make it easy. One evening, Joon said, I love you. Naya looked at him. I know. I want us back. No. He nodded. I understand. She frowned. You don't get to say you understand and walk away. He looked at her. What should I do? Earn it. So he did. Months passed. Joon never pressured her. He never demanded forgiveness. He never used money to solve emotional problems. He simply stayed. He became part of Mira's routine. He learned Naya's favorite tea. He remembered her grandmother's birthday. He helped with the bakery. He apologized when he was wrong. And slowly, Naya began laughing around him again. One evening, she found him attempting to cook jollof rice. She tasted it. Her face remained serious. Joon panicked. Is it terrible? Yes. He sighed. Then she laughed. I'm joking. He stared at her. You enjoy hurting me. Sometimes. He smiled. I miss that. Naya became quiet. I missed you too. Joon looked at her, but he didn't move closer. He had learned. This time, he waited. Naya was the one who closed the distance. She didn't kiss him. She simply reached for his hand. I don't trust you completely yet. I know. But I want to try. His eyes filled with tears. That's enough. A year later, Naya opened her bakery. It combined Ghanaian cocoa with Korean desserts. Joon helped. Badly. Very badly. But he tried. Mira was now old enough to crawl around the bakery, which meant absolutely nothing in the shop was safe. One evening, after closing, Joon stood beside Naya. I have a question. She looked at him. Another one? Would you marry me again? She smiled. Why? Because the first time, you married me to save your family. He looked at her. This time, I want you to marry me because you choose me. Naya's eyes filled with tears. I do choose you. He smiled. But I have conditions. He laughed. Of course. No contracts. Agreed. No family deciding our lives. Agreed. No disappearing when things get difficult. His expression became serious. Never again. And you learn to cook. He sighed. That's cruel. Naya laughed. You love me. I do. Then learn. Mira laughed from the floor. Joon looked at his daughter, then at Naya, and smiled. He had once believed love was something powerful people could arrange. Now he understood. Love was not the contract that brought them together. It was every small choice they made afterward. Every apology, every difficult conversation, every morning he showed up, every time Naya chose to trust him one little step more. And when they finally stood together again, It wasn't because they had forgotten what happened. It was because they had survived it and chosen each other anyway.